Hey there, food fans. Welcome back to the Food for ThoughtCast with me, your host, Melissa Reagan, and my co-host with the mostest, Chef Steven Gonzalez. What's up, buddy?
Hi, how's it going, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. I'm super excited because we're joined by an amazing guest this evening. This is Phil.
Yes.
What's up, Phil?
Hey, buddy.
Doing my best.
Thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it. I've been wanting to do this for a while, so I'm excited as can be to have you on today,
So,
Very excited.
yeah,
So,
we're super
For
stoked
those
to
of
have you
y'all,
here.
yeah, exactly. For those of y'all who don't know, Phil and I go way back, almost as far as Melissa and I. So I met Phil in San Antonio when he was touring as a musician, and him and I just kind of kept in touch throughout the years. And come to find out, he's into like bartending and all this stuff. So of course, food, cocktails, things like that. It all ties together. So I figured this would be a great time to have you come on, man. So thanks again.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to get to know you. So tell us just a little bit about yourself so we know what we're working with here.
Okay, what era?
What area
do you want to start at?
Let's go. How'd you get into bartending? Let's go with that.
So as Steven said, I was a touring musician, and I had a friend here in St. Louis who got involved in a bar and was co-owner and now is said owner of said bar. I shouldn't even say that. No, her name is Carrie Harris, and she's might want to bleep this out. She's a badass. And I was kind of homeless at the time between tours. And she was involved in this, and we had a prior I don't know what you call it, like friendship. Her family owned a stained glass art factory.
Sure, you knew her before.
Yeah, and she was like, "Hey, you got a really awesome work ethic. Got your back." And so, like, she's one of my ride or dies. Like, she's one of my greatest friends. Also, she's OCD and germophobic. So she taught me all of that. And so I was kind of like the maintenance guy there to begin with. Then I built the shelves beneath the bar. I did all these things, and then finally she was like, "Hey, Phil, guess what? You're going to be doing happy hour." And I was like, "What do you mean doing happy hour?" It's like, "You're going to be bartending by yourself." And it's like, what?
You got voluntold.
So trial by fire, huh?
Yeah, trial by
Gotta
fire.
love it.
So I learned through like her teeth. She showed me the ropes. And again, she's an amazing owner and bartender. And again, crackfox.com. But she's really amazing and really beautiful person. And so she showed me kind of the ropes of doing everything. So much, in fact, that a very old friend of ours, as I was bar backing for Carrie, I'm an introvert, so doing something like this is very weird for me.
You're doing great.
Yeah, my hands aren't shaking yet. Just wait. But we'll get into that later. Shut up, Steve.
Done.
So we had this one regular where I would hang out by the ice machine and I would look like this.
Not approachable.
And said regular came up, and she was also a former bartender. She's like, "Oh, Carrie, I love what you done with the place, blah, blah." Also, who is that person behind you in the bar, and why does he look so angry?
It's stoic. You look stoic.
Exactly.
deep in
That's
thought.
what I was wanting to say. Yeah. Yeah. I was like, I'm not angry. I shouldn't look threatening. So yeah, I started off from there. I learned very much a lot from her as far as like the rules of the game of bartending. It was at that point then, it's not that now, but then it was very much kind of like a dive bar ish in the middle of downtown St. Louis.
Nice.
And we survived. We survived really hard. So much, in fact, that even a lot of the regulars, they would help out.
Mhm.
It was a crew effort. That's also why their tagline is the land of the misfit toys.
Oh
I
wow!
like it.
How long ago was that?
Oh gosh, this was like 2012.
Oh wow!
Okay, so you've been in the game for a while.
A little bit,
A
yeah.
little bit. Would you
So-
mind explaining to our listeners really quickly, just in case they don't know what a barback does?
Oh, barback, you're part of the crew, part of the ship. Like
Okay.
you are the gopher. You do everything. If a bartender, server, anything needs anything for you, needs anything for them, I should say,
Yeah.
you're the one that gets it.
Okay.
That's essentially what a barback is.
Okay,
And
perfect.
also, I will say, you do not have a good bar unless you have good barbacks.
Mm,
They are the backbone of the crew.
got it. So like a dishwasher to a kitchen then.
Correct.
Got
Yes.
it.
So then this kind of like laid the foundation of your curiosity creating like cocktails, or did you kind of already know a little bit beforehand?
Actually, no. It did lay down a lot because I was using that venue, that venture,
Uh-huh.
or the vocation as a means to stay on tour
Gotcha.
whenever I was playing music. And then it kind of switched over the years. Like I got a little bit more involved. I got a little bit more involved in the community, got a little bit more involved in the bars. I started off there, and then there was at one point for about 9 months, I think, that I was actually bartending at 5 or 6 bars. Like,
Wow.
That's crazy. Were you like on call for them or just moonlighting or like what does that look like?
no, I was a mercenary. Like if I had
Whoa.
if I had time and if I had the time off, and if somebody needed hands,
Mhm.
also, if anybody needs to know, like if anybody's like, I need hands, that means like, go
Go
to
be
that
the
person.
hands. Go
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
the thing.
Go
Yeah.
help out.
That person.
In case anybody doesn't watch The Bear, and somebody
he-
yells hands, it's serious business.
Oh, this goes way before the bear.
Oh, of course.
But also, I love that.
But it's what's relevant. Yeah, it's what's relevant right now. But yes,
Yeah.
hands is like older than old.
But also, whenever you're in the situation, you just go and do what you can. And at that point in time in my life, it's like, I got hands. Who needs hands? And so I built a reputation in the city I live in, to where it's like, we need somebody.
Yeah.
Nice. You're like the fixer.
Call Phil. It's like he'll do anything.
Yeah.
Doesn't care. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't care. What do you need? Like I have gone and like worked the dish pit, done bar backing, done bartending, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter,
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's where I started out, and then I just kind of expanded from there.
I love it. Well, and then
Yeah.
how about the music piece?
That's before the bartending.
Yeah.
Um,
Are you still actively doing that?
no.
But do you still play bass though?
Yeah,
Like I know you still strum, right?
I play at home.
Yeah. I mean, I
Nice.
do the same thing
I
too.
mean, well, we have an entire episode that's the music and food connection, where we had a group of friends who are also
Mm,
musicians and have a musician or a music
that's the service industry.
podcast. Huh?
This is the service industry.
Oh, absolutely. So
90% of the people in the service industry are amazing artistic musicians.
yeah, so I was just
Yeah.
gonna say, like, I think that it's the two go hand in hand, and it's so interesting to see how, um, I mean, it's kind of a bad
Well,
pun,
they're
but
both kind of like
how one thing plays off the other, but it's a right brain
they're
deal.
both parallel.
So yeah, absolutely.
It's the same thing. That's also what led me into getting into the service industry, where I told myself after everything I've been into, um, I was like getting into the service industry. I'm like, I got this. Um,
Yeah,
and
and
again,
like
it's the same thing with like being on stage. It's
Mhm.
just like, yeah, I need hands. What do you need?
Yeah.
I got gaff tape. What do you need? I have gaff tape. I have bags. I have this. I have this. Who needs loading out? You need loading in.
I
Um,
mean, when
and
you're in the well, you're on stage too.
yeah,
oh,
and even before we started recording, Phil and I were talking,
mm,
and he was telling me about a lot of his previous experience, and kind of like us, Melissa, where we make something out of nothing. Like I asked Phil, point blank, so you're good at thinking on your feet,
mm,
and especially being there in the bar, you have to, and
very true. Yes.
yeah, it's
Absolutely.
it's just something that people really appreciate. I'm sure, like even like when you're behind the bar, you're still kind of putting on a show, even though like you're just kind of hanging out, talking with guests, having fun. To a certain extent, you're still kind of putting on a show. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes. 100%. That's
Yeah,
also whenever I kind of relate and get close and be honest with people. Whenever I tell them, like, I am like a diehard introvert. Like I said, like my hands are kind of shaking right now. I don't like my picture being taken of. I don't like spotlight. I don't like this.
Sure.
Um, and then, but whenever people look at my past, and you can Google it, honestly, um, and they're like, wait a minute, why are you like, you can't be this. You've played in front of like 25,000 people and you're a bartender. You're constant. I'm like, it's called coping mechanisms.
yeah,
Well,
Um,
Phil, I tell people all the time, it's a lot easier, believe it or not, to speak in front of a very large group because of the vulnerability that it takes to speak to just a few people alone. And if you're in the service industry and you're introverted, there is a switch you can flip where you have got to be in customer service mode, and then that switch can flip
yeah.
off when you're done. So,
And
yes.
it's
yep.
ironic because like I've got pictures of Phil and I from like when we first the first time I saw him and the second time I saw his band, and then even to
That's
like
no shot shirt.
yeah, exactly. And so like it's but I'm sure you see it more as like, hey, I'm just taking a picture with my buddy versus like a fan. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
And
yeah,
that's what it's grown into.
that
So
does happen a lot, and people ask me about that a lot. And the ones I do talk to,
Guys, I
um,
gotta grab a pen. Just a second.
yeah,
Please continue. I'm like right here, but almost not.
but the people that do ask me, they always ask me. I was like, well, wait a minute, you can't be that anxiety ridden or introverted or this. And
uh-huh.
it's like, well, I have my coping mechanisms are whenever you play in front of a stage, you're on stage, they're out there. There's a
Yeah,
6 foot difference most of the time. And then I turn myself into a one man mosh pit. Again, Google it. You can actually see the videos.
and I,
Because people are like, yeah, you went wild. I'm like, I was having a panic attack. That's why I punched my bass.
Mm.
Yeah, and I
Uh,
remember the last time we hung out in St. Louis.
mm,
I remember you saying like you intentionally turn your hat around where you're covering your eyes.
Tunnel vision.
Yeah. Do you ever feel like you get kind of like tunnel vision, like behind the bar, where you're like, I got to get this drink and I need this and this?
Did at first. That was
Uh-huh.
that story.
Yeah.
When it was like, who is that guy behind the bar with you?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I did at first, and then I gradually kind of grew into it.
Yeah.
But that my other next coping mechanism with that was essentially the bar itself. You have to be 2 feet away from me at all times. Like I'm in my safe space. So it's like I'm in my safe space, and also I'm in control.
And you're
Right.
gonna leave me alone. Get out of my face.
Yeah. Well, no, if somebody's too
Yeah.
loud, and I've done this before, especially like where I worked, where again, I have couth and I am very polite, and I'm like, you're up here. You need to be down here.
I like that though.
And
You know.
if I have to do it a third time, it's like, get out on the curb. No, out. You're done. Bye. And I don't want to physically remove you. I do like the hands, like I don't grab them, but I do like
Yeah.
the ring around them and
Uh-huh.
then just kind of walk them out. Because again, I've been a door guy as well, and it's
Right.
like
Yeah.
I've been a bouncer, and it's like I don't want to hurt you or anything, but you're fucking up the vibe, or you're being intrusive to somebody else's presence.
Yeah.
Right.
You're breaking the rules, or you're creeping. It's like, nope, not having it. So yeah, and it's like, okay, here we go. Like, and put them outside, and then tell the door guys, like, yeah, don't let that guy back in. Whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
So let me ask you, over the years, how do you feel like your palate has changed as far as coming up with cocktails and different flavors and things like that?
oh, it is extensively changed, especially like starting off at Crack Fox. I was like, I'm like, yeah, I'm making cocktails. I'm, putting sherry in drinks, and I'm doing this. Um, it Whenever I said like after Crack Fox, whenever I left, and I was there for like 6 years, I was like Carrie's right hand man. I was literally bartending while also doing sound for bands and setting them up at the same time. So going from that to, I went to Sanctuaria, which is really awesome bar. They have a book, put it that way.
Nice.
And it was like the biggest box of crayons to draw a picture that you could ever have. And I made that known. So I was like, no, this is why I'm here. This is why I'm doing this. This is why I'm doing this. So that's whenever I got into the craft cocktailing. And I hate using that term. Because again,
it is what it is. I'm like, I don't like the term foodie either, but I think it has gets to a specific intention and
Yeah,
meaning,
totally.
But also,
we won't hold it against you.
people that say like the M word, I always say like, don't say the M word. And they're like, M word. And I'm like, mixologist.
Oh,
I
thought you were going to say like mocktail or something,
M.
Every bar I've ever been to, and this is like having traveled across the world, in other bands, any place I go to, it's like, I'm a mixologist, or I'm a molecular mixologist.
Oh,
I'm just like,
what does that mean,
though? That just means that they do shit on.
They can charge an extra $15
Phil,
per drink. That's all it means, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And they have their apron on, and they're going to dictate to you how you should drink and what you should drink.
Sure.
Over the course of my entire experience being just a bartender, and again, just a bartender, like where I work, we use liquid nitrogen
Hmm.
to chill our glasses because we don't have room for a glass chiller. And we have good friends. Ice is Plain and Fancy. They supply us with that. They are really cool. No pun intended.
Intend your puns.
Yeah. But no, like we actually have two big tanks in the back and we put them in carafes. And that's how we chill our 8-ounce coops
That's cool, though.
and
That's
everything.
amazing. I love it.
But we also keep that behind the bar because again, like using liquid nitrogen, that's going to be like negative. Was it 2 or 325
Yeah.
negative degrees?
Extremely cold.
Extremely cold, and also you can pour it like in your hat, on whatever, all over you. It's going to literally negative boil over you. It's not going to touch you.
Right.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
But what really sucks is if you cup it in your hand or anything and it just boils there, that's where you get those blisters, and that's where it will. It's going to kill your skin.
So no touchy, no drinky,
Yeah,
but used
that's
for
why
cooling.
we chill the coops on the back away from people. But yeah, we use that. And people are like, oh, you're a mixologist. And I've, over the years, through the bars that I've worked with, I actually have a shtick. I have a retort, as it were.
What is it?
One of you say it. I don't know. Call me a mixologist.
Hey, are you a mixologist?
Oh, so yeah, are you a mixologist?
Actually, no. I'm actually an toxicologist.
Okay.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
I got my doctorate in toxicology.
In toxicology.
That's also why they call me Dr. Phil.
Yes.
First, I had to get my master's in chemistry, and I point to the back bar. And then I had to get my master's in finance, and I point to the POS system.
Yes.
And then I had to get my master's in psychology, and I pointed them. And I was like, it took me 7 times, but finally, I was able to get my doctorate in toxicology. And then they're like sucked in, and they're like, whoa, and I'm like, and I'm fucking with you.
But see,
then I explained to them
though.
mixology. But again, it's I use the Joe Bomb method. It's like as soon as you walk in that door, and again, read the bar. There's many types of bartenders, and there's many types of places. You have your bars, you have your high volume bars, which are like party bars, college bars. And then you have your classier places, and then you have your neighborhood joints, and then you have everything in between that. I like to call where I work, thankfully, just a neighborhood joint. A lot of people think oh, I gotta be hoodie, I gotta dress up and be in a 3-piece suit or whatever, or be in a nice gown. It's like, no, as long as you have shoes, shirts, and pants.
Yeah.
Right.
You're good.
You're welcome. You can come in
as long as you are fine and awesome sitting next to somebody who is the exact opposite.
Yeah.
I always say that there's only one way to make a cocktail. As long as we have the ingredients, we can make it. But also, one way to make any cocktail, pre-prohibition, modern, classic, anything, however the hell you want it, because you're paying it.
Go ahead. You're paying?
You're paying for it.
Sorry, guys. That was me smacking the crap out of the desk to get a terrified 80-pound dog to leave me alone Anyway,
I want to see the
carry on.
puppers after. I want to see the puppers.
It is. It's
So,
the
Phil,
struggle is real.
Okay, we always, when people find out we do what we do, we always get asked, what's your signature dish? I'm sure you get asked that a lot. What's your signature cocktail that you make better than anyone? So it's no different. I'm going to ask you the same question.
Yeah, I want to know.
Better than anyone? No.
Your all-time favorite that you make for yourself that you know, like, if I go somewhere, no one can make it as good as me.
Sazerac.
Okay.
Now you can go any two ways, like with a Sazerac. You can do either cognac or rye, but as long as the ingredients are good, and your ratio build is good, and your technique is good, that's going to be a good Sazerac.
So what's in there?
So it's going to be either, the way I would build it would be either 2 ounces, either cognac or rye whiskey, give or take. Personal preference, whichever. I would do 6 dashes of Peychaud's, 2 dashes Angostura bitters. You can also, if you want to sweeten it up a little bit, you could put about 1/4 ounce of Angostura.
The bitters.
The bitter, no, not just the bitters. but they have a liqueur in the bottle. Yeah, you could do that. But yeah, absinthe spray, not pour do anything like that. But absinthe spray the glass in a little mister, like a little
different from a rinse, different from a wash, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Now it depends on the bar you're in. As long as you have I've done washes before,
right.
I know how to deal with that. So you just work with what you got. But yeah, then stir it, fill that entire mixing glass, or if you don't have a mixing glass, you can use a tin, but make sure doesn't matter if it's cold draft cubes or chipped ice. You just make sure it's packed and then stir it and then wait till all of that goes down. Then you put more ice on top of it. Now, the reason why I say put more ice on top of it is because that second layer of ice is going to not dilute it anymore. It's going to actually chill it more because it's already cold. And so that ice on top is not going to dilute it anymore. You just want to get it as cold as possible.
Nice.
And then after that, you again use a Hawthorne strainer, or if you want to use a julep strainer. I haven't used a julep strainer in my I put a Hawthorne strainer on Yaris and whatever. Like I do this method, like when I'm cracking tins, I'm just like in a fine strainer. That's good. But yeah, and that's a decent Sazerac.
Nice.
Nice. So
sounds like we got to go make a trip out there to go see you then and have you make one for us. That's what it comes down to.
So what food are you pairing that with?
Sorry?
What food are you pairing that with?
With Sazerac? Oh, yeah. I would say any kind of red fish like salmon or tuna, or steak, or a really rich pasta dish.
I could see that, yeah.
Is it like the smoky fatty? Is that kind of...
Well, no, it's you want to balance it out. Because anything that's going to come with like any kind of tuna or salmon, It's always going to come with either like rice, like a rice pilaf, or anything like that, which also it's going to be salty a little bit, and that sazerac will definitely like break up. It'll balance it out. It'll be like a nice little refresher.
Nice.
So let me ask you this: what would be the best way to enjoy it? Like if you're having, like, let's just say a salmon dish and all that, would it be like a sip of your sazerac and then a bite of your salmon and then back and forth? Like what do you think would be the best?
I would advise that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like, well, the way that you want to make it, it's like, you don't just want somebody to be like, wham, and then just, it's like, unless they want to, and that's the type of person they are, I'm not judging. Like,
Right.
Another
okay,
sazerac, please.
yeah.
Shoot the entire sazerac, like in the
Right.
But I mean, because that's how I like whenever I eat steaks and stuff like that, and I have like a good bottle of wine. Like I try to go a sip, a bite, a sip, a bite. Back and forth, and I feel like I'm truly enjoying it. But everyone has different ways of enjoying it. So I figured, especially being wine going into something like spirits, it's a completely different way to enjoy it. So
I've like over the years I've done like bourbon dinners and rye dinners, like red wine, paired menus and things like that, tequila dinners. But as just regular me, I typically will decide what I'm in the mood to drink and completely separately and with great abandon decide what I'm in the mood to eat. And I do not care if they go together at all. But if thematically, if it makes sense, right? Like if I'm going to have some really heavy Italian, like ossobuco, I might want a Barolo, but if I'm going to have a burger, like I'm going to have a beer, you know what I mean? So
that's actually my go-to. Like most of the time, like I do enjoy, like on Sundays, I go to my neighborhood bar. The other bars in my neighborhood are closed. It's called Small Change. They're really amazing. They're very, again, I'm very supportive of LBGTQ. And I love those guys. And my buddy Elliot, he's a bar manager there. They are also the sibling to Planner's House, which is Ted Kilgore, world renowned, what have you. They don't serve food. It's just kind of like hey, come in, hang out.
Yeah.
So
that's the way it should be, though.
That's my Sunday decompression. That's where
is there like a food truck? They have snacks. Like what are the rules there? They can serve alcohol with no food present?
The same way that most of us do that in St. Louis that are really good bartenders. It's like, or really good bars. Be awesome. Don't be an asshole.
Yeah.
That's the only rules.
So let me ask this. Over the years, I've seen like food trends come and go. Like for example, it was all about molecular gastronomy. And then for a little while, and it's still going on with like the food trucks. And then it was farm to table and farm to table and snout to tail. I've noticed like with
green food movement.
Yeah, exactly. I've noticed like the NA or like the non-alcoholic beverages have kind of started to grow.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on that?
I actually like it, especially like the food truck thing. I've seen that every once in a while. There's another local restaurant, Yamanja Brazil, which makes excellent caipirinhas, but also like their food is amazing and really good. They have a food truck and they go out to certain events. Like we have a park. Down under, it's in Tower Grove, but we call it Food Truck Fridays, and everybody who has a food truck just comes out, and it's a community thing. And they do that. So Yamanja has sometimes Small Change will bring down a food truck from whoever. but also, and again, it's very like where I'm at right now. Like we are very tight knit. I'm literally telling you, it's like it's 120 people
Mm-hmm.
really care. Like we're not just working through college or trying to go through school. Like no, we're lifers. We all know each other and
Mm-hmm.
we all support each other. We support this industry. Um, but we also support the entire community, and we try to take care of each other. But
Excellent.
talking about the NA movement, I love it. Granted, yes, I'm a drinker, but if it tastes good, I'm going to drink it. I don't care if it has alcohol in it,
Right.
as long as it's good. We talked about this earlier.
Yep, we did.
So there's a lot of different syrups out there.
Sure.
Like it's not just like a witch's brew, uh, ginger beer, some juice or whatever.
Yeah, and
Uh,
not just like bubbles in a mixer of some
exactly.
kind. Yeah.
So, and also same way with beer. Well-Being, which is based here in St. Louis,
Mm-hmm.
they make amazing beer that is non-alcoholic. If you want to take a break, or if you're just want to stay on the wagon, but you still want that taste, you're good. They have a wheat, they have an amber, they also have like a beer that has electrolytes in it.
Oh,
It's amazing.
Wow.
I did dry January this year, and I got to for the first time, and I got to try a lot of the non-alcoholic beers from Athletic, and I was really,
they're awesome.
I was really pleased with them. It was neat. So
They're
really
very good. Yeah. But then also on the spirit side of things, you have this is why I love Giffard. So Giffard liqueurs, they make like vanilla de Madagascar, vanilla or banana do Brazil, like all these exotic liqueurs. They came out a couple of years back with coconut syrup that is non-alcoholic, and it's amazing. We use that in quite a few of our cocktails. They also have an aperitif, Giffard aperitif, which is amazing, and it's non-alcoholic. There's also you guys familiar with Fernet, as I was saying.
yes.
Also
Fernet.
some
Yeah.
there is also some non-alcoholic Fernet out there.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I have strong opinions about that, but like, does it
It's
taste
good.
better than the one with alcohol?
We even like our crew has even made some non-alcoholic for that just to see if we could try, and we did.
Gotta come
Also
out.
here in St. Louis,
herbal.
also here in St. Louis, we have a really good brand. It's called Bear, BARE. They have non-alcoholic gin, non-alcoholic rum, a non-alcoholic whiskey, a non-alcoholic all these different things. Yeah. Oh, they just
wow.
Caribbean rum, and
Nice.
it's cool. And that's why I tell people all the time, it's like, well, no, I'm not drinking. That's kind of like as a bartender or a server, you have to let people know it's like, it's okay if you're not drinking. We're not judging. If you don't have to just stick with water or an Arenciata or a San Pellegrino or anything. It's like, no, I can make you a really good drink that has zero alcohol in it.
I love it.
So yeah, I'm very supportive of the NA movement. I think it's fucking beautiful.
It's a really nice way to make somebody feel included.
Yes.
Kind of like no
All
matter
inclusive.
what their reasons are for not drinking. And then you don't even have to get into it, right? Like it's just a really great, like low barrier of entry to like, hey, join the party. You know what I mean?
So I'm a little confused on that one. So it has like, so for example, you said whiskey. So it tastes like whiskey. It has like the smokiness and all that kind of stuff. So then would it not have the burn then? Or?
No, it depending on the brand, because there's also another brand called Ritual. Ritual is a little bit more watered down. I would say Bear is a little bit more.
It's concentrated.
I would say it's a little bit more kind of vinegar heavy.
Okay.
You also have Seed Lip. Seed Lip is just flavored water. I'm sorry.
Oh no, our NA Bev sponsors.
I love what they do, but Seed Lip, no.
Oh
Just
no.
that this is flavored water, because this is comes to my other point is talking about making cocktails, either NA or not NA. You have to have texture.
Yeah.
You have to have balance. Like,
Well, something has to give it body.
balance, thickness. You can call it whatever you want. You can like put you like MSG in it, which I know this might be an unpopular opinion, but that's actually natural. It's MSG grows everywhere.
I mean, they've really debunked a lot of the kind of.
If you go into the history of MSG, like the history of MSG, like why, like, oh, MSG is bad for you, and it's like, no, it's not. Well, why did they tell me it's bad for me? Because it goes all the way back to California in the early 1900s, 1901, 1902, or whatever. They blamed it on Chinese immigrants.
Yeah. I mean, it has like a super shady. There's definitely a bias.
It's
there.
the reefer madness of.
Right. It's the McCarthyism of food flavorings.
Right. But it's fine. It's absolutely fine. It's not going to kill you.
Well, that's like GMOs. Like,
yes.
oh my God, GMOs. No, GMOs help save lives and they improve like crop hardiness, so we don't starve to death. And everything that people say, like, oh my gosh, these eggs are GMO. You can't have GMO eggs. It's not a thing. Sorry, I'm just going to get off my soapbox now. It drives me insane. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But again, that's whenever I'm just like, okay, I'm going to go back to work.
Hey, I'm going to be back here flipping the burger. I'll see you when you get done.
You keep being the best you.
So
speak your truth, but
so let me ask you this. You were talking about being a traveling musician. That's how we met, stuff like that.
Yep.
What were some of the places that you went to that you checked out a bar or heard about a bar and it just like had a big impact on you, or it influenced you and you thought, man, this is awesome?
Actually, because the three bands that I were in, thanks to Josh, because I was a boy, but I was the only drinker, so it didn't really happen that much. Because again, I will adhere to my environment. So if nobody else is drinking, I'm not going to drink, which is fine. Actually,
there we go. There's a good story coming up now.
Oh, okay.
There's laughter.
So, Stephen, I know you know your whiskey. Whenever we went to Japan, whenever I was in a band called
names redacted to protect the innocent.
I don't want to get sued.
It's a one-word band? Or
it was the last band I was in. I'll just put it
okay. Yeah. So okay. Yeah.
The intrigue.
So we were in downtown Shibuya, Japan, which is essentially right outside of downtown Tokyo. We are having a blast. We're just like, like if you go down to like get a hotel in Japan, like they have like kimonos for you, like with belts, everything. I'll text you the pictures.
Yeah, for sure.
And so they don't have gas stations. They more or less have kiosks or bodegas,
Okay.
more or
Sure.
less. Me being a whiskey nerd, I'm like, yeah, let's go. We're already kind of lit. So here's me, and then here's Josh, and then here's Baby J, who wore nothing, and I mean nothing underneath his kimono. He's like, it's really cool. It's like, what the hell's wrong with you? You know, like, and then
That's not what a kimono is for.
we walk into this little kiosk right next to our hotel, gas station. And it's like walking in the best 7-Eleven of your life. Everybody was super awesome, super cool. They're looking at Baby J. It's like, what's wrong with him? And they want to get food, and like, so we're getting provisions. Any single time I walk into a store, and this is why also what I learned learned while being in Danza, because I was the night driver, so we would always pull over into a Walmart, what have you, and that's where we would stay, and I would sleep across the 2 front seats or whatever, or we would just go into the Walmart and get provisions. Kellogg's Smart Starts is the most nutritious cereal you can have, guaranteed. I had time to check this out because I went through the entire aisle because I was that bored. Kellogg's Smart Start. Yep, dead serious. Pound for pound and price, best thing you can ever eat.
Love it.
But I did the same thing going through the 2 aisles that they had, and they had an entire liquor section. And I'm guessing you're the you know whiskey probably more than Steve.
She probably does.
I mean, here and there.
He's dabbled.
Okay. So all Suntory whiskey.
Wow.
Nice.
I'm talking, and I have the bottles. I brought them back. Old Suntory, new Suntory, blah, 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 blah. Now over there, it says like 1,400 yen.
Mm-hmm.
$14.
Yeah.
Nice.
For those of you listening that don't know how big of a deal this is, these are award-winning Japanese. And Japan has a lot of really incredible like whiskeys and Scotch whiskeys that are
Beam. That's why they say Beam Suntory. They made a pact.
They're competing at a global level, right? And they win these competitions at a global level. So yeah, there's a huge availability there, but yeah, this is a huge deal. In case you
I brought back some stuff that we can't get in the States.
Of course you did, because that's what you do when you travel. Why not?
That's what you're supposed to do, yeah.
I wish I had another bottle traveling case, and there's like, oh, is this kosher? I'm like,
well, Phil, I have to ask you, but there's like this poster behind you that says bourbon. I assume it's like infographics, right? But you mentioned whiskey. Do you have a preference between the two, like for what you just drink around the house?
I like cheap, and I like strong, and I like good quality.
Okay.
So, would you like some examples?
Yes,
well,
please.
I do. And I want to tell the listeners really quickly just what the difference is. But whiskey and bourbon are essentially the same. Bourbon has to be made with 51% corn to be called bourbon. That's where we're at. But they're grain, essentially. Go ahead.
What about rye?
It's made from rye. It's not that simple, but it's almost.
You can essentially say bourbon, it has to be 51% corn, and the rest of the mash bill can be whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it has to be 51% corn. No fewer than I want to say 42. Again, I'm really good friends with Dan Gardner at Four Roses. I think they're
Oh, nice.
1.5.
Tell him I'm a big fan.
I like Four Roses too.
Oh yeah, that's a bartender's handshake right there. It's like, how do I stay sober while doing shots with people? But yeah, and then rye is the exact same, but it's rye, so it has to be 51% rye, and then whatever the mash bill may be, and barley, corn, whatever. But
I'm a rye girly, and I
fuck yeah, you like spice.
I like a rye that has like in my I love a Boulevardier. I love a I like
Negronis. We were talking about this. Yeah.
I like an old fashioned made with rye. I like what am I thinking? Manhattans made with rye. I like those things. I like a rye that's been aged in a rum cask. I like that finish there. So, but yeah,
we can talk afterwards about that. I got a good rye for you. But also, you like another thing I tell people, you like. Instead of saying like the 5 things, like I mentioned earlier, like sweet, sour, blah, 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 I always say like, do you like light and crisp, or do you like deep, dark and decadent? So based on what you just said, you would probably like a drink called a revolver.
Yes, I think that I maybe once knew what it was, but tell me again.
All right, so a revolver is going to be rye whiskey. I would say a high proof one like Rittenhouse. Rittenhouse bottle and bond, and then a little bit of chocolate, a little bit of, well, think of like a black Manhattan.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I like my rye and my Campari mixed together too. I like that bitter.
We call those rah-rahs. Campari and Fernet. Yeah.
Oh,
50-50.
Oh, I have to ask, like, how do you, if people are getting into something that they've never gotten into, like, what do you think is a good starter? We'll take beer, for instance. Like, what do you, if somebody's like trying to get into beer, what do you taste them on first?
Something light.
Like lager, Kolsch type deal? Or?
Lager, Kolsch, I wouldn't go Kolsch. I would say Pilsner or lager. Start them off from there and then see and ask them, how do you like this? How do you like this? Like, we give tasters all the time.
Sure.
And again, like, I'm not a IPA or sour fan, but I can dictate.
No gozes for you.
Well, that's still information.
Yeah.
For me as a bartender.
Sure.
I like, if like, oh, I don't like this one, and I like that one. It's like, ooh, okay, you might like this, or you might like this, and you point them in the right direction. Because again, it's a good buddy of mine. He's an amazing bartender. He also works at Sato here in St. Louis, which is also James Beard nominee. His name's Harrison Massey. He was the one that introduced me to the Nolet gin. Nice. He gave me, like, I stole it from him, but he's like, no, I'm not your bartender. I'm your spirit guide.
Oh, I love it.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's like,
I see what he did there.
Dude, I'm totally taking that. So it's like, but again, it's that mindset being a bartender. It's like, I'm not going to dictate to you. It's like, what do you want? I'm not going to dictate what you want. I'm not going to ask what you want. I'm going to try to figure you out on my mental flavor profile Rolodex.
Yeah.
And then help you figure out your own palate, because everybody's palate is as identifiable as a fingerprint. So everybody's different. Everybody's different. Everybody's going to be whatever. So whenever I hear like chefs or bartenders or anybody like, I had this whatever customer, I'm like, well, how did you deal with the situation? And it's like, I just, and I'm like, yeah, you failed.
Yeah.
You need to turn a frown upside down. You need to educate people. You need to allow them their own time. And everybody, the moment, again, Jim Boehm, once you walk in those doors, I want you to be treated as though you're sitting in my own living room.
Yeah.
That's service.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's what you do. And it doesn't matter like the toll it takes on you or anything like that. This is how you get and keep regulars, and they will come back, and they will come back because they know that you care and that you listen.
Yeah.
It's tough. And also this, we can talk about this a little bit later, but the mental anguish that service industry people go through.
This week, I want to touch on what you said about, making people feel welcome and, how they feel when they walk in the door. I had a friend of mine he hosts a podcast as well, a few of them, about spiritual things and Christianity. And he's a reverend. And
Bless his heart.
huh?
Bless his heart.
Bless his heart. He's an amazing human being. And there's a series that he's going through on his podcast about pilgrimage, the places where we feel seen and safe and where we feel God and everything else. So like making pilgrimage to those places. And he asked me if there was anywhere that I would consider that place for me. And I just moved, I'll give you the backstory. I just moved to North Carolina 2 months ago from Texas, where I'm from. And I told him, I said, as silly as it sounds, because we were both, I don't know that he was a regular, but he had been there several times to the same bar in Dallas. And I told him, as silly as it sounds, that bar feels like my pilgrimage space because it is the type of belonging and the type of like friends who are family feeling that I haven't found here yet. So just really interesting, like, I think that's a common thread, and where when we find our people, it feels like home. It could be anywhere. You know what I mean? So,
Okay.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
with that being said, this was quite a few years back. A friend of mine, they asked me like, why do you do this? Why do you do this? Like me, like I'm not religious or spiritual by any means, but I don't knock anybody who is. Everybody has their own path, which is fine. Again, be awesome. Don't be an asshole. And let's all just get along. I explained, like I came to it where I told a friend of mine who is religious, and they questioned me on it. It's like, why are you not? And I'm like, I have my religion, and they're like, well, what is that? Well, no, it wasn't aggressive. They were just genuinely asking. Sorry.
Right.
But I'm like, well, you have your church, right? And they were like, yeah. And it's like, yeah, I have my church. And they're like, what's your church? It's like, my bar, the bar that I'm working at, that is my church. I have my congregation and I have my Holy Sacrament.
Right.
And I guide them. I take care of them. I make sure they forget whatever is going on in their lives as soon as they walk in that door. Whatever is going on, that's my main rule. Whatever's going on in your life, you keep that outside that door. Once you sit at my bar, this is a reprieve.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
So
I think,
the
well, I
same
think
way
a lot
as
of
a church feels. Anybody who's religious, once you walk into a church, if you are religious, like, like have a breath, have a seat. Do you want to talk about something? I also to follow that up, I also tell people a lot, because in the early days of me bartending, I used to get this a lot. People would ask me, or it's like, oh, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I'm a bartender. And they're like, oh, but what do you really want to do? And I'm like, this is what I do.
Right.
It's like
it's a little bit disheartening, but I
this
think
is
it's
a
because
vocation. It's changed over like
well, I mean,
5
I think
years.
it's like people are just used to like people are used to meeting somebody in that role that's in transition.
Yeah.
And so
I'm just working my way through college.
right.
Just
There's
working my
nothing,
way through
but
college.
but it takes all kinds, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. There are lifers, and then there are people who use this as a stepping stone, and maybe their life's better for that because then they can respect like servers and people in the service industry. But I want to touch back on this church deal really quickly, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I think that I'm not admonishing you at all. I think it's a great parallel. I think there are people out there who would
Just
be like,
metaphor.
no, totally, right?
For me,
I think there are people out there who would be offended. They could find a way to be offended, right? At the comparison. But it's really not that far off, because when you look at the history of the pub, right? The pub used to be the public house. People would post notices. It would provide childcare. It would feed them. They would come get their announcements. They'd have a town hall meeting. It would be a place of refuge, asylum, right? And not just a pint of beer. The same thing with the church. It used to be the center of the community. It would be the one-room schoolhouse. It would serve as the courthouse. It would be the town meeting place, and it would be the refuge. So it's really not that far off, right? To make
to follow it up, which is very much in line with what you just said. I tell this to people all the time. It's like, think of the old frontier Western days. You had your 5 pillars of the community. You had your undertaker, your sheriff, you had your barber, you had the mayor, you had your bartender. Where did they all meet up? At the tavern.
Indeed.
Leave your guns at the door.
Well, I can't even say it. Nope. Intrusive thoughts. My bad. Sorry. I'll share it after we're done recording. We're going to get canceled. Oh my gosh. Sorry.
Steve, you're being really silent over there. How you doing?
I'm listening because I'm actually enjoying this point of view. Like I enjoy hearing like the little bit of history, of like everything about the pub and the tavern, all that stuff. I like it all.
We got way off, guys. Sorry, but that's what we do on the show. Is like we chat, we have a great time with each other, and then this is where we're at. So somebody out there finds it entertaining.
Like if I start rambling, like
oh no, trust me, I'm thoroughly enjoying this, to be honest. So yeah.
Well, speed round, Phil. Do you cook at all?
Yes, I do. Steve has seen it.
Favorite thing to cook?
Food.
Oh, come on now. A style, maybe?
No, actually, I'll just say, let's go down. I'm not really a red meat type person.
Okay.
So I'm mostly like either turkey, chicken, or fish.
Okay.
That could be tuna or salmon, pasta, linguine, or bow tie for sure. Cheese, all of them.
Yes, please.
I like cheese. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then sauces. I've been really getting into Japanese, like Asian sauces, like ponzu. And tofu and all that, like really good.
Yeah.
I've always been a fan of wasabi. Like whenever we were in Danza, like me and Baby J, me and other Josh, we got him into wasabi or eating sushi. We went to like a China buffet. And then he did so a little bit of soy sauce and a little bit of wasabi. And I'm literally no soy sauce. I will smother a roll just like in wasabi, and I'll just dash it whole. I love wasabi, which is weird because I can't do peppers. I can't do oil-based.
It's just different though.
Yeah,
It's different.
it
I
is.
think it's like a texture. Well, I think it's a burn thing because wasabi in and of itself, so you have like that 10-second burn,
Yep.
clears your sinuses, and then it's gone. Where ghost peppers or anything like that or jalapenos, oh, that glues itself to your freaking mouth and it stays there. I can't do that.
Same.
You like a quick hit that dissipates.
Just like boom.
Well, that wasabi really hits you in the front of your soft palate. It's like all the nostrils, right? Like, but it doesn't have that like a Reaper or like a ghost chilies. It uses everything, and it hurts.
I tried one Reaper in my life, and it was the worst time of my life. I just had not even the whole thing, just like
oh no.
And then just toot it around, instantly just spit it out, and then the next hour and a half of my life was horrible.
I believe
Steven, I'm a terrible host because you know what we didn't do?
I thought about that too.
So Phil,
we're gonna have to end this with We usually start with what's the most incredible meal you've had this week.
Oh shit! Let me take a drink.
So now we're gonna do the opposite.
So I had a crazy day, Phil. So we always start it off with what was the most amazing thing you ate this week. So you can take a second. Steve, do you have something to go with?
I just got back from Philadelphia, so of course the cheesesteak's always a good way to go. But the most amazing meal I had this week was I think it's called Beeler's Donuts, made by the Amish ladies.
Okay,
I only had like one. Yes, in Reading Terminal. I only had like one donut. I'll consider that a meal because I mean, one and done is all you really need because it's a lot of sugar. But the texture and the imperfections is what made it so perfect. That's the most amazing meal. It was like a salted caramel donut.
Oh, we need to get into texture. I'll answer this question, but we need to address that, especially also whenever it comes to drinks.
Do it.
So the most amazing thing I had this week is there's a really awesome cafe that also serves booze. They're called Shameless Ground. They're very LBG. They're very sex positive cafe. Ran by Andy and Michelle. They're beautiful. And they're great. But they do this almost like Philly. It's like sauteed mushrooms with Swiss on a baguette. They call it the fun. It's just that. Nice. It's called the fungi. Fungi. But I don't know how Andy does it. I don't know if it's Andy or Michelle or whatever, but they use Vegemite and they have vegetarian.
Yes.
I don't know how he seasons it. Oh my God. It's like, can I get the fungi with 2 patties of that on that? Oh, and they're like, and people like will hear me ask that. It's like, Phil, you're a meat eater. I'm like, yeah, but I like flavor.
Doesn't matter.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Like texture.
Yeah. Of course.
It could not be meat, or it could be meat. I don't care as long as it tastes good.
Yeah.
Same way with drinks. You go ahead.
I'm gonna go. The most amazing thing I've eaten this week so far has been we went to a colleague of mine and myself. We went to a sushi happy hour, and I think it's a chain, but I can't figure out if it's just local or not. It was a place called
rolls, or like straight like rice and then like the fish.
Yeah, so we had a little bit of everything. We actually rolled in 10 minutes before happy hour ended and ordered one of each food item, which is awesome.
Nice.
And she did it, and I was like, "Whoa, okay, I see what you're working with.
Do that?
Amazing,
carbs."
and then the bartender just looked at us like, And so he's like, I just want to verify. You said one of everything. We were like, yes. So there were all sort of things. There was like curry
Give
and
me everything.
edamame and like
Brown
all the
sweet
little
potato.
like
All the eggs.
like pots,
Yes.
yeah, like pot stickers and things like that. But one of the things that was really, really amazing was an ahi tuna taco. So it basically had like tuna poke, like cubes in it, raw, but like in a corn tortilla. It was very strange, but it was delicious, and it had like yum yum sauce and daikon and carrots and cilantro. It was really, really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I never had a cold corn tortilla tuna taco, but like, okay, it was great. So, well, let's talk about texture and drinks, Phil. What were you going to say?
Oh yeah. One thing that I love about where I work at Fraser's, and again, anybody, I always say this, anybody that I've ever worked with, it doesn't matter if I'm like above them or they're above me or whatever, I learn something from everybody.
Mhm.
Everybody has something to add. This is their value. Everybody has input, and I'm like a sponge whenever it comes to that. So where I'm at now, Terry, who is the bar manager, I mean, he's a walking, talking Adonis, Ken doll, playboy. Like,
That's the
you
third
gotta
time
see him.
somebody's
You-
used the word Adonis with me today in
You
weird
gotta see him.
context.
You
Go ahead.
gotta see him. You'll understand what I mean. You'll definitely
I
understand
thought you were going to say he was like a drink encyclopedia or something like that.
Oh no! Yeah, well, no, he kind of is.
Okay, well, sorry, go on.
But he's also a OCD booze nerd. But one of the big things, especially like in drinks, which a lot of people, well, mixologists, like, no, that's not right. We use xanthan gum in our simple syrup. Now,
Okay.
so it tastes like a 1-to-1 simple,
Yeah.
but it pours like a 4-to-1. So
Mm.
adds texture. You can get the
Yeah.
same. You can get the same thing by using just demerara sugar, but it's gonna like make the drink look a little bit darker, cloudy. Maybe not
Okay.
magnificent.
I have a question.
But yes, ma'am.
So, would you ever use a dissolved sheet gelatin in a simple to make it more
Yeah,
viscous? Yeah, I was just
I
wondering.
would, but also I've tried it, but also xanthan gum is cheaper.
Okay.
Heard, yes, understood. Okay, got it.
You can get that shit on Amazon. Like
Got it.
you're fine.
Yeah.
So again, keep the cost down, make the bar money, make the drinks good. Now, what's
course.
really amazing about using that kind of syrup in drinks, because again, we pour heavy. Like our typical pour is going to be like 2 ounces. That's just base.
Right.
And everything else goes in. Like our number one, like I just got done today because I know it's frowned upon as bartenders typically do, but we go through it so much. We pre-batch like our signature flagship drink.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's just like being
Well,
smart
no,
with your time.
Yeah, working smart.
We put everything in there, including the bitters.
Okay.
And that's whiskey, cognac, bonded whiskey, cognac, rum, the simple syrup, and the bitters. And then we figured out the math on it. And so we diluted it down automatically to where all you have to do is just pour it over ice and you're good to go.
Nice.
But we go through it so much. Like if we had to do that shit by hand, like, oh man, that'd be like 8, 9 10-minute wait time. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh no, we
Nobody
can't.
wants that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm talking about our Fraser fashion,
Nice.
which it's those ingredients with the simple syrup, but we spray the glass out with absinthe, and then we just orange zest, lemon zest, and then put green chartreuse right on top, flaming right
Nice.
on top. And then it's like, boom, good to go. But yeah, I just did 1, 2, 3, 4, 15. The batch I made today was 15 plus 14, 20, 28 bottles, like 28 750s.
That's a lot.
Wow.
Yeah. That's going to be gone next week. Guaranteed.
Can you put it in the mail?
No, it just
It's getting cold here in North Carolina. They want things with brown liquor in them.
You know, ironically, we had a cold front coming through Texas too. So by the time it gets to us, you know,
I'm just saying.
you might be cold.
Phil,
I'll see what I can do.
You're awesome, man. Like we've had a blast talking to you. Thank you so much for like giving us a little peek into your world and being so generous with your time. But like,
yeah, buddy.
I think this is, this pod obviously is called.
I see the time frame.
No, you're fine. This pod is obviously called the Food for ThoughtCast, but it's a double meaning. I mean, it's food and it's food for thought. And so, yeah, like it's been really amazing. I hope you'll come back and talk to us again.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Excellent, man.
Cool. Yeah, thank you so much. We got to go, Steve. Let's get out of here.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.